So as if I'm following on from something else.
Yeah. You've got the lesson plan and you've got lesson plan.
Yeah, very fun. Yeah? So we're going to be going over the knee, the importance of looking after the knee joints in warrior poses today. So a lot of standing poses when people have tight hips or different areas of the thighs are tight, misalignments in the knee can cause damage over time. So it's really important to know how to correct and align the knee joint over the ankle joint in warrior poses. So we're going to go over the different muscles today and how to correct and tell our participants to engage the right muscles in warrior poses. So Claire, if you could come up and demonstrate warrior 2 for me, it would be great. You take your feet quite wide. Start with the feet together and step right foot forward. Turn the left toes out to the side. Fantastic. You can take it a little bit wider. So as we start to bend into the right leg, we want to make sure that the knee is aligned over the ankle. So for example, as demonstrated, if the knee starts to bend in, it can indicate tight inner thigh muscles. So we want to try and encourage the student to draw the knee over the second toe and keep the knee over the ankle as well. So as we start to bring, the weight comes forward into the right leg, then the knee can come over the ankle, and this is going to start to cause problems as well. So we need to make sure the back leg is engaged as well, so the left thigh muscle drawing down. Also, if the student has problems with hyperextension in the knee, this leg can start to dip inwards, and we can start to find that we start to collapse into the pose. So we want to really pressing down through the left outer edge of the leg, squeezing the left thigh, engaging the left quadricep muscle, and just making sure that the knee again is aligned over the ankle. So the hips are going to be facing the side, so if we turn to the side, fantastic. Shoulders aligned over hips, and then when the arms extend out, we want to make sure the back is lovely and long and straight, the shoulders are relaxed down. So the knee is the most operated on joint. Generally it's a joint that we really need to look after with our students. So this is a fantastic alignment here, as you can see. So when we come over, we can, if the knee were bowing inward, we'd help the student to align it outwards. Just pressing it towards the little toe. You might use teaching points like draw the knee towards the baby toe. And again, engaging the back thigh to draw the hips open and to think about the piriformis muscle as well, which is supporting the inner thigh. So, have you got any questions about the pose or what teaching points you might use? We're also thinking about the feet as well, so pressing down through the four corners of the feet so that we're using the outer and inner thighs equally.
And the hips are facing.
And the hips are facing the sides. So the hip alignment is obviously really important. For example, in a warrior 1, the hips would be facing the front leg, and we'd have a little bit of space between the feet to give the hips space to move forward. But exactly the same, the front knee is always going to be aligned over the ankle. We don't want it to be diving forward. We want to keep the weight in the centre of the body, so thinking about engaging the lower core muscles as well, as we call it mullabandha. So we're drawing tailbone to pubic bone to feel that lift through the centre of the body and shifting again away from this front knee. But if students have tight hip muscles or they've got tight quadricep muscles, they might find that you need to come away from the pose a little bit. So some students may not be able to, without flexibility, get so deep into the pose, so they might need to lift away. So maybe if we both demonstrate, if we pair up, and one of us demonstrates possibly in warrior 2 and how to correct. Yeah, so if you try and teach warrior 2,
okay, so if you like to come onto the mat and take your feet slightly wider,
together.
Feet together to
Yeah,
start
so
with.
feet next to each other, yeah.
And then take one large pace forwards. And then what you want to do is turn your back foot slightly out at about a 45-degree angle, or no, 90-degree angle, and press into the side of the foot. And at the same time, bend your knee forward in line with your second toe, but keep your shoulders over your hips. Maybe just draw the core in with the ribs over the hips. Maybe bend that knee just a little bit forward, more forwards. And now, can you rotate your hips to face the wall to your side, but without the knee turning? So turn the hips, but keep the knee in line with the second toe.
This is where sometimes flexibility in the inner thighs.
Relax down through your shoulders, and then now float your arms up to the side, but keep the shoulders sliding down the back, so I'm going to try and drop the shoulders down the back even a little bit more. So move from the base of the shoulders down. Look. So even looks like the shoulders coming there. Yeah, and then the head just facing forward. Then reach your fingertips out, onto the side, keep dropping the shoulder blades down the back, drawing the core in, Would you say those feet are wide enough apart? Or ideally,
You might want to take them a little bit wider, yeah. If the student is a little bit tight in the hips, you might say that if they can't really take the foot any wider, that they would just lift away from that front leg a little bit to make sure that the knee is aligned over the ankle. Or
so,
absolutely take another
so would that be like beginners, and then as you get wider you can maybe lunge a bit deeper, can't you?
Absolutely, and ideally eventually we want the hips
that feels fine.
Yeah,
I feel it more in my arms.
Right,
So
okay.
tight.
And then are you pressing through the heel of the foot, the side of the foot?
Absolutely. I mean, a good teaching point for Warrior 2 would be the blade edge of the foot lining up with the edge of the mat, and again driving down through the outside edge of the foot to engage.
And how far ideally do you want that knee to come?
Over the second toe, so perfect.
So,
the ankle. So you want a right angle in that leg, perfect. But again, flexibility of the student might depend on how wide the stance is. And eventually, obviously, when the student has become flexible, get right down so that the hip and the knee are in the same line. But to protect knee joint, absolutely keeping it over the ankle and just considering shifting the weight into the centre of the body so we're not sort of putting all the weight on that one knee. So that looks beautiful. Nice.
Okay.
Would you like to go
Yeah.
teaching?
Okay, Claire.
This way.
So yeah, you can stand with your feet together, and then with your right leg, take a nice wide step forward for me. Lovely. Weight planted through the feet and all through the four corners of the foot, and then with the back foot, we can turn it onto a 90-degree angle out to the side. Lovely. And so think about drawing down and pushing your way through this edge of the foot. Alright? Okay, so now we're going to rotate the hips towards me, but we're going to try and keep that knee.
That naturally happens, doesn't it?
Absolutely,
That's what you're saying, you've got to keep the knee in line.
So try and keep the knee in line with the second toe, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Okay, feel stable?
Yeah, but my hips facing, they're quite going enough.
They're not, they're kind
But
of
without the knee, I can't keep the knee there and
so
rotate my
maybe you've
hips.
got tightness in that.
I have got tight hips.
Absolutely. It is a hip opener as well. I mean, people consider these poses and just think about the strengthening, but actually it is a hip opener as well, so
And I am tight in the hips, so okay, something for me to work on.
And then what I want you to do is float the arms up to the side. Think about keeping the shoulders nice and low, just thinking behind. So yeah, that's nice. So thinking of the shoulder blades down.
So a good assist for this pose would be to come over and just give the student a little helping hand in the direction of the hips, pulling this way and the knee pressing out so that they can work the muscles into the pose over time. So yeah, you might come round and just see if you
So just sort of helping.
just helping
the
the
hips around.
getting the right alignment with the hips.
Yeah.
And just thinking about grounding through the feet, sometimes even thinking about grounding through the bones of the feet to keep that stability in the legs.
Okay.
And again, into the lower core.
Thank you.
Whoa, brilliant. Wonderful. So, I mean, this kind of alignment goes with most of the standing poses, squatting, keeping your knees over in line with the second toe, just helps to align the knee joint. So it kind of, Warrior 2 is a good example, but Warrior 1 and other squatting poses, and anything like that is kind of similar technique. So. So let's go over Warrior 1. So we'll start off with the hip alignment. So for example, in Warrior 2, we start with the feet together. In Warrior 1, we start with the feet apart. So if we were coming in from downward dog, we would step feet together to come to Warrior 2, making sure the feet are in line with the hips for Warrior 1. And this way, as the hips align towards the front leg, the back toes turn out a little bit more of a 45-degree angle, and as we bend into the front leg again, we want to keep this knee directly over the ankle. So the hips, obviously, and the knees, the hip alignment is going to affect the knees directly. Again, back leg is straight, so the left thigh is really engaged, and as we sit down, the weight stays kind of in the middle, so as not to dive forward. You often see people a lot coming too much forward into this front leg. So maybe we can go over Warrior 1 as well, see if we can go over that, see if the adjustments for this one.
Yeah.
So the hip alignment in Warrior 1, again, is going to be towards the front, so we start with the feet apart. So maybe if you could teach each other Warrior 1.
Okay.
So if you're going to stand feet hip width apart and have the sitting bones at the bottom over the heels of the feet, roughly. And you're going to take a nice large pace forwards. Okay, good. So nice and tall. You're going to turn your back foot out now to a 45-degree angle this time. So probably bring your toes a bit
Yeah, so
further in.
what can happen sometimes is the heel turns in and we've got the same line. So it's always getting the student to check alignment from the hips. So it's going to be much more difficult if the left heel is aligned with the front heel to rotate the hips forward.
So you want to space, you want to go between the two.
That's it,
Okay,
yeah.
so rather than walking a tightrope, you want to
absolutely, that's a
take
great
another
way,
pace,
train tracks.
take the pace to the right. So even more, so all, yeah. And so for balance.
Absolutely, and the tighter the hips as well, I find. So it's a nice way to teach. If a student's got very tight, for example, piriformis, or the psoas muscle is very tight, you might take them a little bit wider so that they can bend more comfortably.
Yeah.
So then you're going to bend your front knee and keep your knee in line with the second toe again. So would the knee go over the ankle or further forwards?
Over the ankle.
Just over the ankle,
That's
not
it, yeah.
further.
So if it starts to dip over the ankle, then just coming away from the post, or taking a longer stance.
And then so the hips are facing the wall in front of you this time, so just that's it, rotate your hips a bit further forward. And then again, drawn the core in, ribcage over the hips, shoulders over the hips.
And this towards the arms extended up towards the
So now you're going to
spine.
float the arms up to the ceiling and drawing the core and the ribcage in. Would you maybe arms to the lower back or would you keep a neutral spine?
It is a gentle back bend pose, so it can be a gentle opening here.
Lifting the chest slightly.
Absolutely, and again the lower core muscles.
And then you want to bend down a little bit more into that front knee. Yeah. Keep it square. It's one movement affects another movement. Isn't
Absolutely,
it?
and driving down the blade edge of the foot to secure the back leg, squeezing the left thigh muscle, squeezing the glutes at the back as well to open the front of the hips. So again, it's a hip opening pose. And then there's this kind of support from the upper back muscles, so as if the shoulder blades were kind of supporting the chest. Lovely.
Yeah.
And I feel like my weight's in the ball of my foot. Is that wrong?
Well, I always encourage on these standing poses to think about spreading the weight evenly out over the whole four corners of the feet, apart from the arches where we want to draw up strength through the inner thighs, so as if pushing down through the balls of the feet, the two sides of the heel, the blade edges, and then this is kind of drawing in of energy from the inner thighs, so that this gives us this kind of lower core stability. So I sometimes, a good teaching point would be to draw in energetically through the feet, so rather than just moving the feet, this kind of drawing in of strength to keep the weight kind of in the hips really, so we're not putting pressure on the knee joint. So, any questions? I mean, students, a lot of students experience knee pain, and especially when they're just starting to get into yoga and they've just started doing yoga and they might be sort of misaligning, they might have tightness in different sides of the hips. So it's, something to really look out for.
So like I was saying, when you sort of one movement affects everything else,
exactly,
so you're just, as long as the person's not feeling pain, then you just sort of try and push them and keep correcting.
Just encourage, absolutely, and especially with hip alignment, and obviously tightness in lower back and hips can affect knees and ankles, and
I guess you could just offer the leg position without the arms to start with, and then once you've got that
absolutely.
correct,
In
then
fact,
they
I
can
regularly teach the warrior poses starting with the hands on the hips so that they can get the alignment and then the arms to follow. Absolutely. So as I say, the knee joint, probably a good one to look out for, as it's the most precarious joint, isn't it? So it's got to be. So any more questions?
No?
No, I'm happy.
Fantastic. Okay, so in conclusion, if you have any more questions, I'll be giving out some handouts with the muscles used in the warrior poses, and if you have any more questions, let me know. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.